when Harvard had the 3 billion cut. I don't even know if I feel bad about it. You know?
I wish this was champagne.
You're celebrating it?
People have no idea how dark that place is. No idea. Because what gets all the attention is the indoctrination, the wokeness, the DEI stuff. People have no idea how deep the rabbit hole goes on Harvard Corporation, Harvard Inc. The endowment, the Harvard endowment, the $53 billion and what it invests in. And I can tell you that whole story if you're interested, but I want to make a note about the censorship work that Harvard did. Harvard had 4 different departments that all did internet censorship work, and then dozens of institutes and centers within those that did it. They ran almost like a government level censorship operation, and it was a government level. They were partnered with the U.S. federal government, and I'll walk you through that whole thing. The Harvard, the Kennedy School at Harvard, the Belfer Center, the Shorenstein Center, the Berkman Klein Center, every single one of these was doing government-funded censorship work, flagging dis, and malinformation, and every single time it's the most predictable thing on earth. Anything Trump says is misinformation. Anything that hurts the profits of Big Pharma is misinformation. Anything that supports the AfD party in Germany is misinformation. Anything that supports me, you can spin the globe. I can go to the Harvard Kennedy School. I can type in that country's name in the search phrase "threat to democracy," and I will tell you exactly who is the target of the misinformation work of Harvard University. And I can probably tell you what asset classes the Harvard is investing in that country as an endowment, with their private equity and a liquid, as well as their industry exposure, in order to profit from the party that they're calling the threat to democracy, in order to profit from the one they're censoring if they win. So they I'll trace the history of this in one sec, but let me just sketch this out a little bit. The Harvard Belfer Center is it's run by a guy who came out of the intelligence community and the military, whose unit was ranked, I think, the #1 intelligence unit in the Army by the Central Intelligence Agency. The whole place is this diplomatic intelligence defense corps that does, bills itself as doing sort of research and analysis about issues related to the intelligence community, the State Department, and DOD, but they run operations under code of that. Sam Bankman-Fried said, his trading arm was called Alameda Research.
Yeah.
And he was asked once, how do you come up with that name, Alameda Research? It's a funny name for the trading arm of FTX. And he said, oh, it's a funny story. We tried at first to call it, crypto trading and arbitrage, but we couldn't get a bank account. Every time that we put the name crypto or trading or arbitrage in our company name, banks would hold us up. We would have enhanced review. We couldn't get a bank account to do it. So we lied about what we did effectively. We called it Alameda Research, and banks all gave us accounts because everybody wants to service a research institute. This is what Harvard operations do. Under the guise of doing research, they do active operations at every level of U.S. statecraft and intelligence. And the whole thing is a lie when they say, oh, we're doing Russian studies. No. They're doing operations in Russia and in Eurasia.
Wow.
When they say they're doing disinformation studies, no. They're actively working with the U.S. federal government in censorship operations. But if they had to call it operations, it would hit a little different, right?
Yeah, it would.
And so I'll give you some great examples of this. And all this is on my X account. I actually found this not from Harvard itself initially until I went into the Harvard records on this. I found this in the Department of Homeland Security records. That same place we were just talking about, CISA, the censorship center of DHS. ahead of the 2020 election, they ran this giant operation where they went after tens of millions of tweets to classify them as misinformation, basically anything pro-Trump, anything about, voting machines, mail-in ballots, early voting drop boxes, anything around Stop the Steal, anything that might question the legitimacy of Trump's. Literally, they had a category called delegitimization. Any tweet, Facebook post, YouTube video, TikTok video, Reddit, they had 15 different platforms that they monitored for 5 months ahead of the 2020 election. And the category was called delegitimization. Anything that might delegitimize a hypothetical upcoming come from behind victory by Joe Biden. That's literally, they call this the red mirage blue shift. Anything that questioned the red mirage blue shift, anything that questioned Biden winning if Trump won on the night of the election. Think how insane that is, by the way, to have that architecture in place before the election even happens, to be able to pre-censor any whiff of controversy or scandal, because it didn't even matter if it was true or false. This was their malinformation category. Even if it was a true event that looked a little fishy about the voting machines, looked a little fishy about mass mail-in ballots, if it undermined public trust and confidence in the legitimacy of a Joe Biden win, then it was called misdis malinformation. And so DHS's partner in this, one of their top partners in this, was the Harvard Belfer Center, who they had a formal partnership with. You can go on DHS's YouTube page, and if they've taken this down, I haven't checked on this on this particular clip in probably about 8 or 10 months, but I have it all clipped on the FFO Source Clips Rumble page, as well as on my X handle. You can just type in Harvard Belfer Center, you'll see it. Belfer Center actually ran the DHS meetings. At the DHS disinformation conferences ahead of 2020, they literally handed over the microphone to the Harvard Belfer Center, and the Harvard Belfer Center wrote an entire 100-page playbook about DHS, how it could, should, and must set up incident response teams with different severity levels to go after different right-wing influencers, depending on what they said about the election. And so you might let go if an account only has 50 followers and no reach, that might be a low-severity threat. But if someone like Charlie Kirk or Jack Posobiec or Don Jr. says it, activate the incident response team, have them use DHS's cyber mission control. It's a place called EI-ISAC, the Intelligence Sharing and Analysis Center for Election Integrity. Have them, that was set up to stop hacking attacks. And Harvard used that and worked with DHS to set up these incident response teams to like the immune system, like the white blood cell of a friggin' immune system, to go after anyone who supported Donald Trump. Those were active government operations being run by the Harvard Belfer Center. So I don't want to hear anything ever again about research out of Harvard. It's operations. They serve as the back channel. When the U.S. government wants to get something done overseas, but it's a little too dirty and the State Department doesn't want attribution, the USAID wants to do something, but it's a little bit dirty. It's working with some unseated characters. There's going to be some kickbacks and bribes. We don't want a U.S. government agency to have formal attribution for what we say to these groups. We send in Harvard to do this. This is the story of the 1990s, by the way, and how we got here with the Russian war. This started because Harvard pulled off an economic of Russia in the 1990s. And we have Harvard to blame, frankly, for what's happening right now with the Ukraine-Russia war.
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode.